everybody. Welcome to the Hidden Gems podcast. This is a show where we like to talk about hidden gems on streaming services and what you might not know is out there to watch. It's so much fun. I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel. It's great to be back with you once again. Things are ramping up now that Halloween is officially in the books. It's like things are really starting to get busy. I know you're currently making your way through all the Hallmark movies. I've been reading the reviews, and it's been like, how many of these things can they make?
Well, if you can believe it, we're already on weekend 4 this week.
Oh,
just finished weekend 4.
Well,
we've already had almost a month.
Well, I honestly love stuff like this. I love a lot of stuff going on. I'm working a lot with Hallmarkies, and that whole thing's gonna be announced, I'm sure, on a later date. Things at my job are getting busy. I'm doing collabs. It's just fun stuff.
Yeah.
Very fun stuff.
Very fun. And but we're here to talk about hidden gems, and today we're talking about one of our favorites.
Yeah, Disney Plus episode
Disney
13.
Plus.
If we can get to a 15, I will be very pleasantly surprised.
Oh, you think that?
Not to say that I didn't have a hard time. It just pleasantly surprised in that this is the one we started off on, and we haven't gotten to 15 of anything here. So it's really does say something as to how far we've come in the years we've done this.
It's true. I mean, originally we were thinking that's the only one we were going to do because it was only going to be a couple of weeks. So we were just
Oh, how naive we were.
Yeah, that's right. But before we talk about the hidden gems on Disney Plus, we wanted to talk about the new release of Home Sweet Home Alone. Anybody who follows my channel knows how much I love the original Home Alone. It was a really formative movie for me. It was the first comedy that I ever really loved. I saw it with my grandparents when I was out in California for my 10-year-old birthday trip that we used to do, and I was just about to turn 10. And I saw it and I thought it was hilarious and I loved it. And I love the second one. I have not seen 3 through 5. So I'm not a Home Alone expert, I guess. Have you seen any of those?
I've seen 3, honestly, way too many times. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I know it's not exactly great, and I understand that, but it's one of those where it's like, I weirdly kind of like it. I mean, if anything, it's like they try and cram like this North Korean spy movie into Home Alone. It's just, it's a weird flex. And so it's a weird oddity. And not to mention the fact that Scarlett Johansson is in the movie, like before she would become Scarlett Johansson that we know, like Black Widow and Lost in Translation, among other things.
Yeah, I've heard that she's in it.
But 4 through 5 I have not seen, and I have unfortunately seen this movie, and I would rather 90 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. But
yeah, agreed. I was actually pretty optimistic. I can't remember if I gave it an orange in our preview show.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Podcast. I think I might have. I thought that the trailer looked pretty good, and I was open to it and looking forward to it. So I was just really disappointed by this film. You can read my full review. I'll put a link in the description, but I just felt like it was so many misguided decisions. And it was just clear to me that these people had no idea the original appeal of the Home Alone. And the idea to make the robbers, these like sympathetic people that are losing their house, was so misguided.
Yeah, in the original, Marv and Harry were criminals. We kind of love them, but they're criminals. They
almost kill Kevin at one point.
Like Joe Pesci literally threatens him by saying, "I'm gonna break off each and every one of these fingers one at a time." And it's like, jeez, this is dark. Yeah. And for the movie Home Sweet Home Alone, to turn the villains of the movie into this couple, the father lost his job. The father, this poor man, like this poor guy, goes through so much. He loses his job. He has to sell his home. Like he is just, and he gets hit in the head with so many things. He gets into a
Yeah.
fender bender. He gets a boil on his head like that big. He gets hit
Hmm.
in the head with pool balls, with a gallon of milk and a thing of flour. It's like
Yeah.
like people worried about CTE are just gonna be like you're entitled for
Yeah.
compensation, dude. It's like seriously.
I mean, just the car accident alone would be enough to go to the hospital. And like all of that could have been fine if they're bad guys. Like it's just fundamentally you don't understand the appeal. Like the whole idea of the original Home Alone is that it's like somewhat funny to see basically anvils fall on bad guys. Like it's a kind of a live action Wile E. Coyote skit,
Mhm.
is the idea. And that's funny because they're terrible, they're bad. And it's also a fairly small part of the actual film. If you watch it's really only about the last 15 minutes, maybe 20, that is the actual physical violence. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and that was part of the problem too, is that they made everything way too easy for this little kid. I mean, he just one of the booby traps alone with the trampoline, he couldn't do that by himself. He
Yeah.
couldn't move that. And like you could say that maybe for some of the ones in the original, but for the most part, they were relatively doable, like putting a nail on the ground and ornaments and, paint cans and things like that. Like it's not that undoable. And like you were endeared to him because things weren't easy for him. He struggled. One of the best scenes in the whole movie is him when he steals the toothbrush because he's scared. And so that gets you attached to him. And then when he's scared of the furnace in the basement, and you just had none of that here. And so it was just a real disappointment.
Yeah, they put the plot of the original Home Alone through like the cartoon-o-matic. There is no
Mm-hmm.
evolution to any of these characters. You feel nothing for them.
Yeah.
It's so many. And you Rachel, do you know the review from Siskel and Ebert where they reviewed Jaws: The Revenge?
Mm-hmm.
And there's the moment in where Roger's like, and I stood up in the entire theater and I yelled out, "His shirt is dry!" Like I had one of those shirt is dry moments when one of the traps, I'm gonna spoil it, don't watch the movie. I'm
Yeah.
going to spoil it. One of the traps involves basically this kid throwing whole 2-liter bottles of Mentos and Diet Coke, or well, legally distinct Diet Coke,
Yeah.
down
Right.
on one down on the wife. And I actually did a Mentos and Coke experiment in middle school. Once that Mentos hits the Diet Coke, it's game over. It's like
Right.
they treat this like it's a hand grenade. It's like pull the pin, you have a bit, then you throw. It's like no, once the Mentos hits it, it's game over. So
Right.
and there's a break in which the Mentos hits it, and then there's like a break, and then it
Right.
falls, and then it explodes. It's like no, it doesn't work like that. And I
Right.
literally, as a 24-year-old man, I literally yelled at the screen, Mentos and Coke doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also it was beyond unbelievable when after all that he's put these two people through that that he that he says, "Oh, I'm alone," and she's like, "Oh, well, why don't you stay with us?" Like, what? I don't know. It was just so misguided. It was bad. So yeah, I gave it I think a 3 or a 3.5 out of 10
you,
on my
you
review,
were being
but
incredibly
I
generous.
probably was.
I if I had on my scale I gave it a horrid, but on your scale I'll give it a 1.5 because the
Yeah.
one is for Archie Yates. He seems like he's legitimately trying, and hopefully
Hmm.
he does get more work in the future because he was good in Jojo Rabbit, so there is talent there. And the half a star, I will give them credit for one of the traps involving, I'll spoil it. There's basically it involves the wife walking across a floor of Legos, and
Yeah.
that's one where I was legitimately ah, like I was legitimately wincing at that because I've stepped on Legos. I've gotten like Legos stuck in between like my fingers. It is not comfortable. And so for her to have to go through that is just like, okay, movie, that was actually quite good. So that's the half. Like that's the one and that's the half. The rest,
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah, it was not good. All right, after that, unfortunate, let's talk about our hidden gems. So we have for my I'll go first. We have Olaf Presents is my first suggestion for hidden gems. And I know you hate Olaf, but this is actually pretty funny. It's basically Olaf kind of recreating and doing skits based on the Disney classics. And so like he's telling the story of the Little Mermaid or these different Disney films. And it's actually funny. Like I was laughing and they're only like 3.5 minutes long. So you don't have to put up with it for long. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. So there we go.
I would like to state for the record that I actually don't hate Olaf. I hate Olaf's Frozen Adventure because they put it in front of Coco, and when I saw it at 10 o'clock at night. There was 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes of trailers plus a 25-minute short, not to mention the fact that Coco is 2 hours long. So
Yeah.
I left that theater close to 2 in the morning because of that stupid snowman and his friggin' fruitcake. So I want to say that I'm kind of indifferent towards Olaf. I know a lot of people like him, and the last thing that I want to be is like the old man yelling at the clouds. Like if you like him, that's great. But I just I do not care for that short. It's bad enough that the trailers have gotten longer since theaters have opened back
Mm-hmm.
up. We're getting like Pepsi ads and Matt Damon crypto ads now.
Yeah.
It's been exacerbated since the pandemic. I would have thought, oh, we might scale this back. No, it's gone even longer, but that's not the
I
forum
didn't
for it.
for my on that particular thing. I didn't mind it because I it's not the first time that they've done a longer featurette before a film like Mickey's Christmas Carol is famously was before The Rescuers. They had the Three Mouseketeers one, Mickey and Prince and the Pauper was before The Rescuer, before they Down Under. So I don't I was like, more stuff. Yay. Plus, I have to admit, I went to the panel on it from a D23. And so I was already kind of like pumped about it. So I didn't mind that short. I thought it was fun. But yeah, I know I'm in the vast minority of it. But yeah, these are just funny. Like there's these little sort of takes on Tangled and Moana and Little Mermaid. And so I enjoyed them. And like I said, they're only 3.5 minutes. So maybe they learned their lesson as far as length. So what do you have first for your first pick?
So my first choice is from 2009, and this is a Disney animated movie that I honestly kind of forgot about. But then when I was looking up things to recommend, I was like, oh, yeah, this was actually secretly good, and I'm going to be talking about Bolt. This is from 2009. It has John Travolta in it, Miley Cyrus, among others. It tells the story of this television show, and it involves a young girl and her dog. And the wrinkle is that the dog, named Bolt, voiced by Travolta, believes that it's entirely real. Like he has superpowers and all that sort of stuff. He has no concepts of editing and Creative Cloud and all of that. But then he gets lost and he teams up with this cat who kind of has to weirdly teach him how to be a regular dog again while the girl played by Miley Cyrus goes on the hunt for him. I thought this movie was actually quite sweet, and it has a lot of positivity to it. Not to mention it has some pretty good action scenes in there. And there's a pretty funny scene in the beginning where it's this big, like, we get to see Bolt's big superpower, like this super bark thing, where it's like, Bolt, speak, and then he speaks and he goes brah, and there's this big explosion, and then in the editing bay they see it as like boom mic, and they either gotta do it all over again, or they gotta find a way to creatively like remove that boom mic. As someone who's been in many editing bays, like in my college life, I can really relate to those struggles. But on the whole, I think this is one that doesn't get talked about a lot, and I really think it should, or at least be in more conversations.
Yeah, this was a really important movie for the Disney company. It really helped them transition out of the post-Renaissance dark period into the revival era. Some people include it in the revival era, some people don't, but it was kind of the base hit that they needed to kind of get back into the swing of things after Brother Bear and after Home on the Range, and just these misses that they'd had. This was one that was pleasant and agreeable and funny, and everybody loves doggy movies, so it was a very important movie in that regard to kind of get them back going.
Yeah, and there's the cat's name is Mittens. I was trying to think of her name, but
Mm-hmm.
Mittens. And the movie was
Yeah,
actually released in 2008, not 2009. So
yeah, she's funny. It's a good one. It's not like one of my favorite by any means, but it's perfectly enjoyable, and it's totally what they needed at that time. So
yeah,
very
it's
good pick.
kind of like what Oliver Company did. It was like the solid base hit before
Mm-hmm.
they really took off.
Yeah, or like Great Mouse Detective too. I kind of lump into that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
very good. All right. Well, my first pick, I mean, my second pick is my second pick is the decom, one of the decoms from this year. Actually, it is called Spin, and it's now on Disney Plus. It is on Disney Channel originally, and it tells the story of a young girl who loves making DJ mixes. She has one of those kind of panels that she's able to do it, and she gets entered into a contest where of mixes, and she's Indian, and her family runs this Indian restaurant, and she works there, and they're not all that supportive of her music, what she likes to do. But this was really solid. I thought the acting was good. I thought it was well made. I mean, I know next to nothing about DJing or mixing, or it's not like my style of music, I would say, but it was still an overall very sweet movie about a family and about this young girl. I could have done almost without. There's sort of maybe a kind of a romantic plot, but then like it doesn't really go anywhere. Do anything. I would have gotten kind of rid of that. And there's like her rival DJ mixer guy. So I probably could have done without some of that, but it's overall a very pleasant decom.
Yeah, from the plot of this, it kind of sounds like the basic structure as one of my past recommendations from like a million years ago, called Jump In with Corbin Bleu and Kiki Palmer, about how
Mm.
Corbin Bleu was a boxer, but then he discovers a love of double dutch and jumping rope. And so
Mm-hmm.
he starts leaning towards that, to the disapproval of his father. And so
Yeah.
I, I, I would kind of connected to it through that.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of a plot trope that you've seen in a lot of other DComs, even in High School Musical, where you've got kind of the disapproving dad who doesn't want Troy to go into the disappointing dad who doesn't want Troy to join the musical, and it's kind of a classic coming of age story. So, what do you have next?
So my next choice is from the early 2000s, and it is a Disney Channel series. This was on when I was in like my prime Disney Channel watching years, and it was one of my favorites. It's called American Dragon Jake Long. It tells the story of a young boy named, well, Jake Long. He's voiced by Dante Bosco, who was Rufio and Hook and not Fire Lord, but
Oh,
Prince Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender, so he's got cred.
I didn't know
And
that was the same guy. That's interesting.
yeah, Dante Bosco gets around. That's all I will say. Uh, the basic structure of the series is that Jake Long can secretly turn into a dragon, and he's a school kid by day, but at night he defends New York City from mythical creatures with the help of his grandfather and his best friend. And he falls in love with a young girl named Haley, who is secretly not her, but his nemesis, except they just don't know it yet. Like I said, this was prime, like when I was in my prime Disney Channel watching like years. This is when they were going from strength to strength. Not only were their DComs doing really well, but their live action stuff like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Wizards of Waverly Place and others were really, really doing well. And their animated stuff was good as well. There's American Dragon Jake Long, and there's a bunch of others that I am really having a hard time remembering, but I'm just glad that American Dragon Jake Long is now on Disney Plus because I can go back and watch it and have fond memories and such.
Cool. Yeah, this is one I had never heard of. So that's very interesting. And it sounds fun.
Yeah, and and the guy that voices his friend, Jake Long's friend, is named Peter Oldring, who's like a bit actor in like several movies. He's been in movies like Crawl and Greenland. So he's popped up here, there, and everywhere, and it's nice to see.
That's cool. What's he playing Crawl?
Uh, he's credited as additional voices, so he's primarily like in the voiceover thing. But
okay.
It turns out in American Crime Story, he's David E. Kendall in the Bill Clinton one you were talking about.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's probably one of the lawyers. Interesting. Yeah, that's a good show. I like this show. I think it's very underrated for this year. But very cool. So my next pick is I guess some might not say this is a hidden gem, but I think it deserves more love. It is the Cinderella from 1997. This is the Oscar. This is the Rodgers and Hammerstein version of Cinderella with the kind of the classic Broadway songs. And of course, you've got Whitney Houston playing the fairy godmother, and you have Brandy playing Cinderella. And this is just delightful. It really holds up well. I reviewed it for Family Movie Night when it was added to Disney Plus, and I just enjoyed it so much. So I think it's a real winner.
And they seem to make Cinderellas like every year, it sems like.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's one of those stories. I mean, people like stories about underdogs and about the belief that good things can happen to people, that like the Cinderella can be rescued. It's just a story that just rings true no matter what time period you're in, going all the way, I mean, thousands of years. There's been Cinderella stories, and not only just the Grimm's version, but like throughout many cultures have their own kind of Cinderella type story. It's very interesting if you go back, and there have been so many versions of Cinderella. You're absolutely right. Whether it's and I've reviewed most of them on my channel, almost all of them. Like The Slipper and the Rose is so much fun, done by the Sherman Brothers musical. The Glass Slipper with Leslie Caron is great. Of course, your animated Cinderella. I even like Cinderella 3. It's one of the few good cheapquels. But this one, it's really good. I mean, I just love those Rodgers and Hammerstein songs, and My Own Little Corner in the Room, and Impossible, and all those great songs. And of course, Whitney Houston and Brandy can deliver the songs, and it's got fun choreography and pretty good costumes considering it was a TV movie. And I know it's one that's really important for a lot of young girls that wanting to see representation on screen. Seeing a Cinderella, Black Cinderella, was very important to a lot of young girls, and it's well done. It's very good.
I think I may have actually seen this. Did you say Cinderella was played by Brandy Norwood?
Mm-hmm.
Then I have seen this. It's been
and Whitney Houston is the fairy godmother.
It's been a million years, but I have seen it. I have definitively seen it, and I did enjoy it. I mean, it's Whitney Houston. What's not to love?
Right. Yeah, and she was one of my favorites growing up. I was so sad when she passed away.
I
But
want to
an
dance
incredible
with
voice. Yeah.
somebody, somebody who loves me.
All right. What is your next pick?
So my next choice is a Disney nature movie, and I have a soft spot for these ones, but this is one that connected to me the most. And maybe it's because I live in Daytona Beach and literally the ocean is about a 20-minute drive from me, but I'm going to recommend Oceans. Uh, this being a Disney nature movie, it's essentially a nature movie. It's about, it tells a story about, well, in this case, the oceans, about whales and underwater life. And
Mm-hmm.
a very peaceful and serene movie, and it brings to light some very serious problems with the oceans, like the plastic and the littering and all that, and that's very important. But ultimately, I kind of get a serene feeling with this. I don't know, maybe it's just
Mm-hmm.
because like when you see like just the bottom of the ocean, you see just like all the ocean life and the coral and the reefs, and it just you feel like you're in another world when you're down there. And this
Yeah.
particular movie is narrated by Pierce Brosnan, and never thought I needed to have James Bond narrate an ocean movie, but there you go, and he does a pretty good job. So I'm not sure if this is my favorite Disney nature one. I think that might be African Cats. I'd have to go and look it up, but I think this is definitely one of my
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one's a lot different than some of the more recent Disney nature films where they really try to almost anthropomorphize the animals and give them like a name and story. And like this one is more of your sort of planet Earth kind of David Attenborough kind of style of documentaries. And so it's just a different style. Like those other Disney nature ones are really made for like little kids,
Mhm.
so that they can bond and have a story and everything like that. And yeah, I enjoy this one a lot. I mean, I'm like you, I absolutely love the ocean, and I think it would be fun to watch this movie and then watch Becoming Cousteau, which I think we talked about last week. I think
It
I can't
was
remember.
it was definitely I believe it was referenced. I
In
think
the streaming, that's what we talked about in the streaming preview. That's
yeah,
right.
that's the
So that
one.
would be a fun like double header, is to watch Becoming Cousteau and then watch Oceans. So it was a good pick. All right. Well, my next pick is, I guess you might say it's a hard left, but it is Decorating Disney Holiday Magic. And this is not really a movie, it's like a special. It's 42 minutes. It was probably on the Disney Channel at some point. And it just goes behind the scenes to all the effort that goes into to the holiday magic of particularly Disney World. And I just found it absolutely fascinating, particularly to find out about how they make the different trees and just how many pounds the trees are. It's like 35,000 pounds or something, some crazy number, and how they basically like have to have a police helping them like close off the roads so that they can get, because they take up the entire street on these huge semis. And that was fun to see, and how they get the snow on the castle, and also how they do the gingerbread house at the Grand Floridian. And I just love that kind of behind the scenes stuff. It's really fun. Narrated by, it has Whoopi Goldberg and then Sophia Carson and Jordan Fisher. So it was really fun.
Yeah, I've in my watch later list on my YouTube, I've got like three or four like Disney tours where they've
Mm-hmm.
already got the Christmas decorations up, so I'm
Oh
definitely
yeah, yeah.
definitely a fan. I looked up and on the thumbnail it says this was on Freeform, which
Oh, okay,
I've
that makes
I've
sense.
always I've always known it as ABC Family, so like seeing
Yeah,
Freeform just kind of seems very foreign to me still.
yeah. It was probably part of their. They have that like 25 days of Christmas or something like that, a free form. So it's probably on there. You're right. So, but it's fun. Especially if you love the Disney parks like I do.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite like Christmas related things that I like to watch every year is that someone 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 uploaded a Guy Fieri special where he took his family to
Oh
Disneyland
yeah.
Orlando. I love watching that because I love them making the candy canes and the various ice creams and the
Hmm.
cookies. And I was like, I would be so fat if I was there.
Yeah. This one is more specific to the decor,
Right.
to the decorating. So yeah, that one's fun too. I'll have to recommend that one of these days. But what's your next pick?
So my next choice is, well, sticking to the theme of Christmas. It's from 1994, and well, I'm going to be reviewing it this December, and it's The Santa Claus. This was a movie that was released right around the height of Tim Allen's powers. Like
Hmm.
Home Improvement was still a really big deal. It was like the number one show or close to it. He was still doing really good in the stand-up world, and he was releasing movies like this. And I believe the next year he'd be in Toy Story. So it was a pretty good time to be Tim Allen.
Yeah.
And if you've never heard of it, the movie tells the story of a man named Scott Calvin, played by Alan. He's, I want to say, an ad executive. I haven't seen it in a minute, so I think he's maybe an ad executive or with toys, I think. Rachel, maybe
I
you
think
can help.
so. Yeah.
And, well, when Santa Claus visits he and his son's home, well, Santa falls off the roof. And so basically, without him knowing it, Scott Calvin becomes the new Santa Claus. And over the next year, he gains weight, gets the beard, the whole shebang, to his ex wife and new husband's very much chagrin, though his son fully believes and Scott really does not.
Hmm.
This is a movie that is become a bit of a tradition. Like my mom and I watch Home Alone every year, and the Santa Claus is definitely up there as well. There's a part of me that just really likes how, this is going to sound weird, but just how Christmassy the movie feels. Like just going from one Christmas to the other and seeing the transformation. And even it kind of falls for like the standard jokes of like, see, he's getting fat, haha, and it's like kind of lowered bar stuff. But there's a really funny scene where he's getting fatter and he has to attend this really important meeting, and they're all ordering lunch and they're all ordering like salad, and Tim Allen's like, I'll get the Caesar, no dressing, and also a vanilla milkshake, a cheesecake, a hot fudge sundae, and it's like the
Yeah.
entire dessert menu. And there's this great time lapse of him finally eating everything, and the head of it is like, you finished? And he's like, yep, I'm finished now. Like that was actually pretty funny. And
Yeah.
so this is a Christmas tradition of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun movie. And I think it's such a 90s movie, like it really, I mean, especially everything with his son and the like, why is his ex dating that jerk? Like, why? I feel like that's the case in all family films in the 90s.
Shout out to Judge Reinhold. He's been good at playing.
Yeah. But it's a fun movie. I enjoy it too. The sequels I don't like as much, but they're watchable, I
I
guess.
like two, and I haven't seen three in such a long time that I
Hmm.
have no real opinion of it. I just feel like it was an excuse for Tim Allen to be with Martin Short for an extended period of time. Like maybe they're
Yeah.
friends. Who knows?
So my last pick is was just from last year, and I feel like it came and went, and I really enjoyed it. And like no, it just kind of got forgotten about, probably because it's on streaming. It's the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Of course, the original Star Wars Holiday Special is infamous. Even George Lucas refuses to have it be distributed.
And Jar
And
Jar is still canon, folks. Think about that
right,
for a second.
exactly.
We celebrate our day of peace.
If it's embarrassing George Lucas, it's not a good film. But yeah, this one on the other hand takes all of that from the special and makes fun of it and makes fun of all things Star Wars. And I just thought it was really funny. I really enjoyed it, and they have all of sort of your main cast there. I mean, they have some sound alikes, certain things, but as far as the characters there, like Ray is there and C3PO and I don't know, it was just funny. I enjoyed laughing at Disney is not always the best at making fun of themselves. But this one I thought they did a good job, and I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I meant to see this when it initially came out, but it was like other things came up, and it was just, oh man, because I love the Lego stuff, and I meant to see Terrifying Tales. I've still not seen that, but I love Lego Movie. I love Lego Batman movie. So it was just a matter of time, not being like,
Mhm.
none of that, please.
Yeah. I think you'd think it was funny. So, what is your next pick?
So my final pick is from 2009. There's a bit of a theme there. And it is the remake of Race to Witch Mountain. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, Ryan, are you really recommending that? It's more fun than you think. It tells the story of a Vegas cabbie named Jack Bruno, played by The Rock, who runs into this pair of twins who turn out to be aliens. And well, they need to get back to their ship in order to get off the planet, which their ship is being confined in Witch Mountain, which is like Area 52, pretty much. It's like top secret. But there is a CIA agent played by Ciarán Hinds who is like, yeah, you kids are going nowhere, like real quick. And I don't know, maybe I was just at the right age, or maybe I'm just a wrestling fan and I love The Rock too much, but I've always enjoyed this movie. I recognize it's not Disney's best by a country mile, but it tells a pretty simple story. You have these two kids, they need to get off the planet, and the only person that can help them is this cabbie who has a very dark past, and the movie alludes that, like, it's pretty bad, but we're not going to go too deep into it. I think that's handled very well. The Rock is in here, and he would have better performances, but I enjoyed him here. Carla Gugino is really good as well as the scientist who later helps him out. Even the
Mhm.
kids are pretty good. The girl is played by Anna Sophia Robb, who has had a ton of really good performances, and she was in The Act, I believe, which Rachel you recommended a long time ago,
Mhm.
Hulu series, and
Yeah.
she's been in music videos recently. And the boy is played by Alexander Ludwig, who has been in a favorite show of mine, Vikings, and he's was Bjorn, the son. He's great there. And he was also in, let me see, he's also in the show Heels, which is a wrestling show on Stars. I strangely have not seen, and I need to
Mhm.
fix that. And
Now,
so,
this is a remake of Escape to Witch Mountain, correct?
yeah, I believe
Yeah,
there
because
is a,
I just saw that for the first time doing Disney Scares Month, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the kids were really cute, and I just liked the story, and I thought it was a fun adventure, and so that was the first time I'd seen anything in this whole series. Because then I think there's a sequel to Escape to Witch Mountain. I don't know if it's called Race to Witch Mountain, but I feel like there's a sequel there, and then now this remake. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good, and it sounds like very similar plot. So it sounds like a pretty close remake to
yeah,
the original.
and if any of you have ever seen the meme of The Rock looking in the mirror and Anna Sophia Robb saying a thing and then The Rock turning, this is the movie that it comes from.
Mm.
And one more thing about the movie before we sign off. The movie has one of my more underrated like favorite title sequences where it goes like it says like Race to Witch Mountain and the actors and all of that, but it's set against like alien conspiracy theories and like Area 51 and that whole thing with really good music, and before all that is the Walt Disney logo where it's like the black screen, but then it's like the orange like logo where it's like the light passes through Walt Disney and then the light kind of shines. I'm sure you all know the one I mean. It kind of looks like a sunset, or it's like there's a bit of fire going through it, and then it's like that. Hopefully you get the one that I mean. It's my favorite Disney logo. It's like it was in front of Pirates of the Caribbean, it was in front of Brother Bear. Like when you're going into more serious Disney stuff, but maybe not too serious, that's the one that they used.
Cool. Yeah, that's a fun detail. I like keeping track of those. So there we did it. We have our recommendations. Let us know if you're listening what you think of Home Sweet Home Alone. Did you maybe like it more than we did? Let us know, or maybe you disliked it even more than we did. Put in, if that's possible, put in the comment section. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and also let us know what you've been watching on Disney Plus. They just had Disney Plus Day, which was a kind of a bust, but you can listen to me and my friend Patrick. We talked about it. But if there's hopefully going to be some nice hidden gems that we're going to talk
Come
about
watch
from.
our screenshots for 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
So,
I'm I'm actually happy that they're doing a secret invasion, but I was hoping that they might have something other than just the logo. But
it was weird. It was really weird. But let us know what you think. And Ryan, where can people find you?
people can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there is, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called RyanCam. This past Saturday, I was a part of the Suit Up Geeks podcast, greatest sci-fi movie of all time, fantasy draft. I had a ton of fun. I was a part of with a lot of creators, including Austin Putnam, Matt Wyatt. I I can't remember the name of her site, but it's Manda Reviews.
Oh yeah, yeah, love her.
And she was very nice, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time. The voting is going to start tomorrow, so if you could please vote for me. The movies I picked for the draft are Alien, The Terminator. I'll read it. Alien, The Terminator, Ex Machina, Gravity, the original Planet of the Apes, the '68 version, and Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. I've seen the other
Whoa.
teams. It's going to be tough because they've picked like Back to the Future and the original Blade Runner and RoboCop. I did a bit of a mock
Oh, your
poll on
list is way better.
I
I
did a
like.
bit of a mock poll on my Twitter, and it's 40% A. So I'm keeping my fingers
Yeah,
crossed. But
yeah.
my first matchup is against either Deebs, who runs the Suit Up Geeks podcast, or I believe it's I can't remember his name, but it's one of those
Mm-hmm.
two. I got a
Yeah,
first round bye, but
cool.
if you want to vote for me, go to my Twitter at RyanCam20. That's the point I'm trying to get at. And as
Cool.
far as my channel goes, going to be having up reviews up for French Dispatch and Home Sweet Home Alone, because I did make a review for it, and hopefully it'll make you laugh, because it was not worth almost not worth watching it for the review, but that's neither here nor there. I want to apologize because videos I said would be up are not up because I've been on vacation. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to edit for a week. And there's a part of me that's like guilty about it, but felt nice. But I'm going to get back on track. Those videos will be out. Tale of Princess Kaguya review will be up. Villeneuve ranking will be up. Craig Bonds, all that stuff. Great stuff
Great.
coming to the channel.
Awesome. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please take a look at that. And also, if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. Make sure you're checking out the Hallmarkies podcast. We have so much going on over there, and I would really appreciate that support. We also have the Patreon group and merch store. Take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.